Hello WBE fans, my name is JaCub as always, and welcome back to the weekly recaps for the Shield Division for WBE Season number 3, Week number 8. Now I know Dr. Slaking, the Slaking Doctor, and I told you guys last week we would be recording together this week. However, life just doesn't like us very much, but that's okay. I'll be doing the first half of the video recapping 4 games. He'll be taking the back half and recording his 3 games, or recording the commentary and analysis for it. But look forward to that later. Make sure you check out all the links to the description to the analysts and coaches that have made WBE Season 3 a great one so far. That would be highly appreciated. But anyway, there really wasn't a game of the week on my side. For me, personally, the game of the week, in my opinion, from the Shield Division was the Uzi Gunner taking out Old Man Tup. But my partner and co-host, the Dr. Slaking, will be covering that later in the video, so look forward to that. He probably won't say it's the game of the week, but definitely, in my opinion, that was the game of the week. So anyway, I'm just going to go in order here of my notes and everything. So first up, we are going to be covering the Melbourne Rotoms coached by Cybertron Zhang versus the Miami Dolphins coached by Kyle A. I feel, first and foremost, I feel like Aaron not bringing Cartana here was kind of a mistake. I feel like, because he did say it in his commentary that we were considering banning Cartana. And honestly, I think banning Cartana would have been really good. Sure, it doesn't take as hits well from Victory Bell in the sun or anything, because it could have Weather Ball or whatever it wants to do. And Kingdra in the rain, you could EV yourself to live hit and still be banded, because Cartana hits like a truck anyway, so it doesn't really need the attack, and you could just ran enough speed for whatever you would have crept on Kyle's team. I'm trying to think what that would have been. You might have just run max speed to speed tire with Helios, but if it's like Specs or like Life Orb in the sun or something, you don't want to take hits anyway, so maybe you wouldn't have gone that route. But honestly, you very well could have done that. So you also could have ran Scarf Cartana too, because it would have forced him to run Timid or Jolly or Naive or whatever speed boosting nature Victory Bell if he wanted to outspeed Scarf Cartana. So that could have been a thing as well. And I think you may have outsped potentially Modest Kingdra if it wasn't running enough attack. So he would have been forcing him to run Timid. So Scarf Cartana could have been rang, could have been very good late game. But we'll see. Anyway, Aaron was in control of most of this match. However, Kyle brought a really cool Victory Bell set, the Sword Stance Yachiberry with Leech Life, Power Whip, and I don't think we saw the last move on it. I'm guessing maybe it was just like Weather Ball or something just to hit the Cartana, because Leech Life was going to be bouncing, and so would have Power Whip. So I think it was probably just like Weather Ball. It was probably mixed or something like that, because even if you're like Jolly nature, like no special attack EVs, Victory Bell with Weather Ball in the sun, it's going to bop Cartana, obviously. So I don't think we revealed it. Maybe it was Synthesis. I don't know. But that Victory Bell set really brought him back, because he was playing on the back foot most of the matchup. And then a couple Power Whips missed, and Conkelder actually eliminated Victory Bell, or lowered it, or put it into range where it was so low. And that was big unfortunate for Kyle, because Kyle would have gotten his first win in the season more than likely, because had he just hit the Power Whip, Conkelder would have gone down, and Mamoswine would have came in, not killed with Ice Shard because of the Yachiberry, and I think he was at +4, I believe. So he probably would have had a chance to knock it out with a Leech Life, but he probably just went for Power Up and knocked him out, and then could have Leech Life the Mill Tank or something like that and just won the game that way. But very unfortunate. Kyle probably should have won this game. But honestly, Life Orb Mamo is the best Mamo, because it doesn't have switch-ins really. I mean, Cresselia is a really good one, I'm not even gonna lie. But honestly, Kyle brought a really cool team for the most part. He brought Z-Move. Is it Focus Blast? I think Volcanic gets Focus Blast. It might get Superpower too. But yeah. Oh, I want to talk about his Needle Queen set too. Just bopped the Blissey turn 2 with Superpower. That was great. I love that. What else happened in this game? Aaron brought a really good Miltank set. It's kind of standard with Milk Drink, S-Toss, Toxic, and Heal Bell, but it's effective. It doesn't matter if stuff's standard sometimes. If it's effective, it's effective. And Aaron brought it, well, his front office, he gave them credit, but he still brought this set. So I'm going to just say Aaron instead of his front office. But he brought the set. It was very effective. Aaron did what he did to win the game. Hacks is, unfortunately, the game we play. But still, it was a really fun game to watch. So let's move on to the next game. The Sin City Scissors, tongue twister, coached by Patty Chills, taking on Six Attacks and the Durham Jargons. Well, I have one singular word to describe this match. Yikes. Patty was on the back foot pretty much all match. Leo prepped really, really well, like Leo typically does. Running a defensive Toxic Protect Tauros and Z-Tang playing skills Autotomize Como, as well as Defog Savali, which was much needed for Sticky Webs this game, really just put Leo on the on the front foot of this match like the entire time. Like it seemed like Leo was just ahead of Patty the entire game, and it was really tough for Patty to get his footing in this matchup because Leo just brought the actual set. And a crit on with Como versus, it wasn't Seismitoad, was it? It was something. Was it Seismitoad? No, it was Landorus. It was Landorus because it was -1. Patty thought the crit mattered. He then realized, once he revealed Clang Scales, it was special Dragonium Seas, so more than likely the crit didn't matter, I believe. I'd have to do a calc. I don't remember the exact EVs Leo ran, but I think it was like 124 modest, something like that. Maybe it was modest 252, something like that. But it was like, it probably didn't matter because it's like base 185 special dragon move, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, but it was Patty even brought a really cool Mega Alex Zam set he didn't really get to use because he was gonna bait in the Alolan Muck, click Miracle Eye to switch in, click Psychic, and that's a big yikes for Leo. But unfortunately, it didn't work. And Megalop did Megalop things late game and cleaned up and just basically got a lot of kills because that's what Mega Lopunny does. Comes in and cleans up. Anyway, I think that will cover that match pretty well because I think I talked about all the highlights and pointers and all that stuff. But anyway, let's move over to the next game. The Florida Gators, coached by It's Gator, taking on the New York Noibets, coached by Mewtwo Fan Nate. Gator brought Gator things. That includes lots of setup, lots of Toxics. Toxic Keldeo is like his thing. It was really smart, though, especially this matchup, because Slowking was such an obvious switch-in and could potentially run Psyshock for like a Calm Mindset. And honestly, even like Calm Mind HP Ghost Life Orb isn't going to be killing Slowking, even without an Assault Vest. So, like, that's just really rough. But he brought Toxic. That makes sense a lot. Signal Beam was a really good bring on Nate's part because the Celebi switch-in was super obvious to Slowbro, and that's quad super effective, so it makes sense. Curse Body is kind of evil because it got it like 2 out of 3 turns, I think. Because I think, did Slowking get Curse Body against it? I think it did, and then he switched out, and then Frostless got Curse Body against something that I think it was Boom Burst. I believe it was Boom Burst when Swallow knocked it out, thus forcing a switch, but he would have switched out anyway because their aura was coming out, so it really didn't matter because it would have switched out anyway. So Slowking with Trick Room was neat in theory, especially as well by Nate, but it was just kind of difficult after it got poisoned. Like, it's like usually the best mons to be poisoned are Regenerator mons, but in this case it's kind of hard because like it was a Trick Room set. It wasn't like an Assault Vest set. Like Assault Vest sets with regen, it doesn't really matter if you get poisoned, honestly, because you're gonna be like pivoting in and out. Like regen mons usually like to come in and then after a turn or two switch out anyway, get their health back, etc., etc. So like usually it doesn't matter if Trick Room or regen mons get poisoned, but in this case it kind of mattered a little bit. But Zeraora, Zeraora came in, I believe, got 4 to 5 KOs after a while, after Steelix went down. But it was like hard at that point for Nate to not let Steelix go down, even when it was like take that big damage, because it was like he was in such bad position already. So it was like, what does he do really? And honestly, Gator's Zeraora, this is why Gator is proving why Tier 2 Zeraora is such a value. It's such a good mon in Tier 2. Zeraora is so good. Honestly, it could be Tier 1, but it's so good value in Tier 2. It's such a good value. It's a cheap Z point mon in Tier 2. Obviously, WBE is free Z, but I'm just talking in general about the tiers. But yeah, Zeraora is a phenomenal Pokemon. But yeah, I think that'll cover most of the highlights from that match. Let's go on to our third and final game, having Feint Attacks and the Atlanta Umbreons versus the Maryland Torterrapins, coached by Under the Radar. And Under the Radar keeps proving no matter what, how much time he's got to practice and everything, he's going to keep winning. Troy Scarf, Darmanitan, and Kelly are basically peanut butter and jelly at this point. Torn Eye with Toxic Protect. It's kind of strange because Kelly did have a Mega Sableye, but there's realistically not a ton that he could have done. I guess it was a fair play, but like Mega Sableye could have came because I think Kelly had mentioned that he said, "Oh, I could have brought Mega Sableye potentially," and he could have like against that team. But Christian made a really good play. I think it was like middle of the game where he predicted Darmanitan coming in and clicked Stone Edge with Entei and just knocked out Darmanitan. It was great. Kelly's just like, holy cannoli, basically. But the only unfortunate thing is, I'm pretty sure he was Choice Banded Entei, I believe. And the only unfortunate thing was, Zygarde got to come in, click Dragon Dance. And it was Z Iron Tail. And basically set up. So Kelly definitely made the right play because he was trying to go for a late game Stakataka sweep, I believe. He didn't have to do that. I'm pretty sure he didn't even have to do that because I didn't even hit the field. I'm pretty sure Surf just cleaned up late game. But yeah, he clicked Outrage on the Flagon. Flagon clicked Outrage, didn't kill the Zygarde, obviously because Zygarde's really bulky. Zygarde does kill the Flagon. He goes into Mega Gardevoir. And instead of killing the threat that he was guaranteed to kill with Hyper Voice, he goes for a Calm Mind. And I'm questioning that. Maybe he was banking on the 3-turn Outrage, which I guess is kind of fair because I think he was doing that so he could have been in better position because he was on the back foot at that point. So I guess that's a fair play because if he would have gotten 3-turn Outrage, he would have been in a really good position because he probably had HP Fighting or HP Ground for the Stakataka, and at that point that would have done a significant chunk to the Stakataka if you got that +1, especially if you're modest. More than likely he was timid, but if you were modest, like creeping Adamant Zygarde or something like that, that would have been really cool. But I think that's why he made that play. I don't know because Christian didn't upload his side yet, unfortunately, so that kind of makes sense in that regard then. But yeah, it wasn't necessarily a misplay. It was kind of questionable, but I can see why he would want to make that play. Late game, Serp KO'd 3 Mons. It just kind of like Leaf Storm on the Entei switch, Dragon Pulse, I believe KO'd it at that point, and then he goes into Dragonite, I think, and Dragon Pulse didn't KO. He sets up a Dragon Dance, doesn't kill Dragon Claw, and then, yeah, he knocks it out with another Dragon Pulse, and then I think something came, and then Torn comes in, knocks out the Superior, and then Stakataka maybe, no, did Stakataka kill? I honestly can't remember if Stakataka got the final kill on this Torn. It might have, it might not have, but I can't honestly remember. But anyway, that'll do it from my side of the WBE recap this week for the Shield Division. Sorry it's going up so late, guys. Life kind of stinks sometimes, and we get super busy, but it should be going up early Saturday morning, we hope. Hopefully, him and I will be able to record next week. I'm not going to make any promises, but I'll turn it over to Dr. Slaking for the rest of the recap. Peace.
How's it going, my WBE people? Dr. Slaking, the Slaking Doctor, taking over from my man JaCub as always with the rest of the weekly recap. And I just want to apologise for the fact that we're not recording together again. I know JaCub promised last week we would be, and this week it was entirely my fault. I don't know if he's explained properly or if he even understands properly because my messages to him were pretty rushed and hurried, but I just want to give you guys a full and proper apology. Basically today I had to take my car into shop and it essentially broke down, and it was just this whole thing that meant I didn't get home until even later than I originally told JaCub I thought I was going to get home. So I'm currently recording this at nearly midnight UK time, and to top things off, since I got home I've been really sick and unwell, so I couldn't even record it as soon as I got home. So yeah, if you guys could show some love just in general down in the comments, I would really appreciate it, because today has been an expensive and rough day. However, We do have some games to cover, and the only reason I'm bringing all this up is one, to apologize for the fact that we're not together, but also to apologize if my coverage of these games is not flawless. Usually I would have a full notepad with pages and pages of notes in front of me to make sure I don't miss a single thing. I have watched all these games multiple times, but I didn't have time to make all the notes that I like to make, so I am going to be going a little bit off the top. So like I say, I'm doing my best. I want this to be as good as possible, but I hope you guys can understand that this 1 week I may be slightly worse than normal. Regardless, I'm going to stop waffling now because I'm sure you're bored of that. Jumping into the first game here, we have Galactic Elliot and his Chicago Cub Juice taking on Bristol City Blazerkins, coached by Game Boy Luke. Two coaches that have been really impressive at times this season, but definitely I think have had an inconsistent season so far. Going into week 8, I don't know their records off the top of my head, but definitely kind of patchy, and teams that are really sort of breaking even, looking to try and push for playoffs, but definitely not guaranteed to be in those spots. So this, I think, was a pretty important game for both coaches. Luke did really well actually before going out to America, staying in Georgia, I think he was for a while. He had a couple of really good wins and really impressed me in those matches. So coming into this game, I saw him as the more informed team, even though I have seen some quality from Elliot this season too. But Elliot definitely surprised me. The way the game went, even as it was happening, even as I was watching the game, I didn't think it was going to work out nearly as well as it did. As you can see here, the Mega Garchomp picking up 6 kills against the Bristol City Blazerkins here. It basically just led off with Scolipede from Elliot, got some spikes up, then baton passed a speed boost into the Mega Garchomp. Clicked SD with Mega Garchomp as the Mega Scissor went for Defog, and that was the whole game. From that point on, the Mega Garchomp just blitzed through with, I think, +3 speed and +2 attack. Maybe, I think, actually he went to +4 and then got intimidated by the Scrafty, so I think he was +3 possibly even, and was able to just rip through Luke's team. It's one of those things where, from Luke's perspective, you know, he took it very well. He did forfeit the game early, but was very complimentary towards Elliot about the win, and kind of commented on, you know, he's not going to be too hard on himself because he didn't have as much time to prep as he would have liked coming back from his stay in America. But that's one of those things that I think is insanely difficult to prep for, right? Mega Garchomp is such a hard-hitting, tanky mon. That trying to check that thing at +3, I mean, there aren't many things in the draft metagame that can even check it. So yeah, definitely not one Luke can be too hard on. It was just Elliot being able to exploit a kind of busted mechanic there and rip through, and maybe Luke's positioning was caught a little bit off guard. For example, him clicking Defog with the Mega Scissor, where really he should have just bullet punched twice to get as much chip on the Garchomp as possible, would put him in a better spot. I think he could have killed the Garchomp if he played more carefully, preserving the Stadium Token of Maru, things like that. Maybe even encoring it into Dragon Claw. I think he said he could have done something like that so the Primarina could revenge. I don't know, things along those lines. I think he definitely had some ways out that he just didn't see. But I think by that point, Garchomp was going to blow a hole through Luke's team that he was never recovering from. So definitely there were plays he could have made to stop this from being a 6-0 smashing. But sometimes, you know, speed boost is banned in a lot of leagues for a reason. And we kind of saw here why it's such a controversial rule that's often discussed. Whichever side of the fence you fall on, you can see here how strong it can be. But I think Elliot played very well. Like I say, he took his opportunity, and why wouldn't you? And it was a good build by him, and he was very gracious in his victory as well. In fact, he was almost he was not even almost, he was very apologetic towards Luke. So yeah, very gracious winner. Always nice to see, and complete respect to him for bringing the set that just worked, that just smashed his opponent. So that was probably a lot of analysis for a 6-0 win. I feel a little bit rudderless without my notes, I hope you can't tell. But we will move into the second game here, as we have the San Diego Chimchargers taking on the Seattle Sea Kings, and MV taking on Jodor. Now, Jodor in recent weeks has seen a resurgence of form after going, I think it was 0-6 or 0-5. It was probably a bit less than that. I think it was 0-5. He then won 2 on the bounce weeks 6 and 7. Definitely playing really well. Made some trades, bringing in some bulk. Aloma Mola, in particular, has been used really well by him. I know he brought a Saltfest Magic Coach set, and I've been really impressed with the way he's playing. But he was coming up against one of the hardest coaches in the Shield division this week, as he took on MV. MV's had a couple of slip-ups here and there against Gator, springs to mind, but definitely a formidable coach and a very tough opponent to go up against. And he showed exactly why this week. being able to take advantage of the more passive mons on Jodo's team. He brought a sub Charge Beam Z Focus Blast Victini. At this point, I think Envy brings so much heat that it's almost hard to see what is heat and isn't heat on his team. But that Victini, that's some flames. I mean, Charge Beam sub Victini is not something you see very often. But knowing that he could Focus Blast into the Umbreon, he did get the Spadef drop, but didn't get the Charge Beam boost. So I do agree with his analysis where he said those things kind of balanced out. And then seeing that Jodo was just going to keep his Umbreon in to make sure the Victini didn't get into the sub-up, he dropped the Titanium C and just nuked that thing early, and that really opened up the wall for things like Togekiss to become very, very effective, as you see Togekiss picking up 2 KOs itself. Something like Umbreon is so useful to be able to take that on. Yes, okay, you can run Dazzling Gleam, but Umbreon's going to tank that relatively well, and a lot of Togekiss don't even run it. And in general, I think it just kind of opened up the game for air/spam. Ditto did really well here with the Focus Sash Ditto set, being able to copy the Sigilif. Then as he won the speed tie the first time round against the Sigilif and managed to get a flinch, Jodo switched into his Bisharp, assuming he was scarfed into the air slash because of that speed tie win, and the Bisharp then brought the Ditto down to its Sash, but died to Heat Wave. So a little bit unfortunate by Envy in terms of winning the speed tie first and foremost against the Sigilif, so his Sash wasn't broken, but then secondly also getting the air slash flinch to not reveal that he was Sash or break his Sash again, I think was really, really important. So yes, definitely a little bit of fortune, but you know, that comes when you're playing aggressively and you're playing very well, and he definitely was applying a ton of offensive pressure. Like I said, the Victini set in particular, Sean picking up 3 KOs, allowing the Togekiss to pick up the 2. Dugtrio was just sacked off to... I'm trying to think what it was sacked off to. I think it was sacked off to the Mega Venusaur, potentially. It might have even... No, I think it was the Haxorus. It was sacked off to the Haxorus, just to figure out what the Haxorus was doing, I think, from memory. It was a sub-Haxorus, so very, very interesting set, as it just kept subbing down on the Heracross, trying to put the Heracross in range with the Flame Orb chipping down the Heracross. I felt like Jodo played pretty well. I don't think there was so much he could have done in this game to really change the outcome. It felt like Envy brought things that abused the more passive mons on Joe's team very well, and sometimes that can be a very, very hard thing to counter. If someone is just going to abuse the fat like that and bring threats, then yeah, it's pretty tough, and I felt the matchup was a struggle for him. But definitely I think his resurgence will continue. He still showed enough here to make me think that he's going to go on and win a few more games before the season's out too, and I think he's been improving week on week, so I'm pretty confident of that. And now moving into the final game that I have to cover here, we have the Pittsburgh Predators taking on the Bullet Punch Club. And this is my first time getting to talk about Uzi on this show, which I'm super excited to do. Uzi is one of the nicest guys in the community. He's one of the WBE coaches who I've had a little bit more interaction with. And he's such a cool guy, such a nice guy. And I think it was really awesome. I haven't really got to comment on this because I haven't covered any of his games yet. But I thought it was really awesome as somebody involved in the WBE fold, as an analyst here, to see a fellow analyst, a fellow man involved behind the scenes, to take over a team in this league when someone dropped. I thought that was brilliant. It was really, really nice to see kind of the promotion in-house, if you like. But this game was, I think, probably the shock of the week, as the Pittsburgh Predators did pick up the 1-0 win. And I say the shock of the week, not in any disrespect to Tup, but Tup hasn't had the most incredible season, and Uzi is one of the best players in the Wi-Fi community, in my opinion. I think he's a really top player, very, very scary threat. Yes, he's coming back after a long hiatus, but this man still knows what he's doing, and Tup definitely caught him on an off day here. Tup played really, really well, applying the offensive pressure with his sub-Nasty Plot Miss Magus again. We saw that set do work against Aaron Cybertron Zeng earlier in the season, and it did the exact same thing here, being able to sub up and get a Nasty Plot. Just applied a ton of pressure, breaking down some mons and getting one kill for his trouble. And yeah, really opening up the game for him. He also used his Z Rotom Wash pretty well, but I think he played his Z a little bit earlier. For those of you who've seen the game, you'll know. He went for the Z Rain Dance on the Rhyperior, I think, so that he could get boosted Hydro Pumps and things like that. But with the Kyurem still in the black and only hidden power fighting, if you don't know, Z Rain Dance boosts your speed by 1 stage. It doesn't boost your special attack or anything like that. So I felt that whilst yes, it gave him more powerful Hydro Pumps, those Hydro Pumps were still only as strong as hidden power fighting, and that was never to KO in the Kyurem. So he used it really well in terms of it was a great set, and he did manage to pick up 1 KO with it. But I thought maybe it could have been preserved for later in the game, at which point Kyurem might have been chipped down, and then it could have outright have swept. But, you know, nevertheless, it didn't need to do that. It just needed to take the 1 KO and help break down the opponent's team. Klefki was really good here. He bluffed not having the Magnet Rise fantastically, as he basically stayed in the Rhyperior, didn't click Magnet Rise the first time as he went for the Stone Edge, and then clicked and KO'd the Rhyperior, and then when the Kyurem came in, assuming that he didn't have the Magnet Rise, he then clicked it on the Kyurem, meaning that the Kyurem was in against a Klefki that it just couldn't touch. So really, really effective Klefki set. Played very aggressively, being able to bluff not having the Magnet Rise, and then catching 2 KOs for his trouble. So yeah, fantastic use of Klefki. Lead Roserade with Hazards, applied the early offensive pressure. And then Mega Tyranitar was able, regular Tyranitar was able to come through at the end, rock polishing up to pick off the last 2 KOs. I do think it had weakness policy, although that was never revealed. I believe Tub said that in his commentary. So pretty heat set. I always like to see Mega, why do I keep saying Mega? I always like to see T-Tar doing work, especially with weakness policy. I think it's awesome. So yeah, really, really cool set there from Tup. And a fully well-deserved W this week. Both of them did some really cool promo on their videos. I'm not really a wrestling fan myself, but apparently it was in the theme of like wrestling promo, and I thought it was really, really cool. And it's always great to see people in the draft league community doing some original content, so huge respect to both of them. From Uzi's perspective, he definitely was caught a little bit lacking this week. He looked a little bit rusty. I think you could see the hiatus, some questionable plays that he explained himself in his commentary, so I'm not going to go into too much because he is definitely a player that knows where he went wrong. His Kyurem, he played a little bit passively in the early game. We could have stopped him from getting poison. He could have picked off the Roserade. He definitely just made some errors of judgment as the game went on and struggled a little bit. I think he was put on the back foot, especially from playing his Kyurem a little bit poorly in the first couple of turns. But regardless, a completely formidable coach who I'm certain will bounce back and have a great season for the rest of the WBE. So very, very excited to see how both these coaches do moving forward. It's a huge win for Turp, and I hope it can give him some momentum going into the last few weeks here. I'm really excited to see how he does. So they are all the games I have to cover this week. Like I say, I apologize if this commentary felt a little bit less structured than normal, if it felt like I was a little bit more, free-flowing with it. I wasn't following set notes and stuff, but hopefully you guys still enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the games, because, I mean, that's really the crucial thing here. We had another fantastic week in Shield Division with some amazing games, some big surprises, and some big results as well. And the playoff race is looking fascinating in this division and the Sword Division as well, of course. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I am going to stop rambling on now, as I tend to do. Thank you so much for loafing around with us, and we'll catch you again next time.